A few days ago, I recorded Jackson Street Blues. And at first, I thought it was probably fine for YouTube, but the more I listened back, the more I started noticing little moments that I wasn't completely happy with. So in this video, I will play you my original recording first, then share 3 things I would like to improve: the tempo, some flexibility in timing, and the shaping of some phrases. After that, I will play the new version so you can hear the difference. So now, let me show you the original recording. The first thing I would like to change is the tempo. According to the teaching notes, ABRSM teaching notes, the piece should feel laid back and bluesy, but still keep moving. And crotchet equals 76 is about the right speed for that. Let's hear what 76 sounds like. I'll do bar 13 and 14. In my original recording, I played it at around 73. So this is what 73 sounds like. Let's do a comparison. Well, it's not too far from 76, and 73 does give the piece a relaxed feel, a bit like cruising down the street late at night. But it also kind of loses momentum. So I will definitely take it a little faster, closer to the recommended 76, just to keep the music moving. The second change I would like to make is to use a little more rubato in certain places. Right now, my playing is quite steady throughout the piece, which gives it control for sure, but also makes it sound a little stiff. So in the new recording, I would like to bring a little more flexibility to the timing. Let's look at bars 1 and 2 first. These 2 bars feel like a little introduction to the main theme, which starts from bar 3. So I would probably use a bit of rubato here to make the opening feel more expressive and more inviting. We can stretch the first 2 notes of bar 1 slightly, then move forward slightly before returning to the original tempo, probably on beat 3 of bar 1. Let me try it out. It sounds okay? I would also linger just a little on the G at the end of bar 2, almost as if I am preparing the listener for the main theme. I think I already had these ideas in my original recording, but they didn't really come across clearly enough. So in the new recording, I would make the rubato here a little more noticeable. Even though rubato can make the music sound more expressive, it doesn't mean we can use them anywhere we like. For example, when I slow down on the lower G on beat 4 of bar 6, the music started to drag and lose its momentum. So what I would do here is to keep the left hand G, the left hand lower G on the beat, but maybe add a very slight pause on the right hand quaver G before moving on to bar 7. Okay, let me try it out from bar 5. Did you hear that? A very slight pause after the right hand G. Let me do it again from bar 5. On beat. The third thing I would like to change is the way I shape certain phrases. For instance, the right hand melodic line in bars 1 and 2. Let's listen to that part again. As you can hear, I made a clear break between the upper G and the lower G, and again between A and triple C. Back then, I did that on purpose because it sounded jazzy to me while I was playing. But when I listened back, those breaks felt a bit too abrupt for me. I also put too much weight on both Gs, so it sounds slightly too strong, and the line doesn't really flow well. So it's actually a good reminder that for digital exams, we need to record ourselves and listen back carefully. Because sometimes something feels fine while we are playing, but when we hear it back, it doesn't come across quite as well. And that matters because in a digital exam, the examiner hears our recording, not our live performance. So in the new recording, I would connect those notes up more smoothly, but I would still keep a tiny break between the A and the triple C because I really like that lift there. It gives the phrase a gentle bluesy touch. Or you can still join the A and the C up, but put a little emphasis on the C to make it sound like a gap. The second phrase I would like to adjust is the right hand phrase in bar 26. Let's hear that part again. As you can hear, I played the A flat in bar 26 a little too loudly. So this is what I did. I made E flat and A flat equally loud, and it kind of cuts the phrase in half. So it no longer feels like a continuous line. In fact, if you look at the score, there's only a forte marking at the beginning of bar 26, followed by a decrescendo marking starting roughly at the end of beat 3. So we're supposed to keep most of this bar fairly strong. But we still need some shaping, because if we play every note equally loudly, the flow is gone. So in the new recording, I would probably try starting the phrase on E flat forte as marked in the score. Then as the melody steps downward, I would make a slight decrescendo, which also means bringing down the volume of that A flat slightly, like this. So the A flat is definitely a little bit softer than the E flat. And after that, as the line begins to rise again, I would add a gentle crescendo, leading back towards the forte on the E flat. And finally, I would follow the written decrescendo to complete the phrase. So it's like this. I'll start from bar 25 to the end. In other words, the dynamics would follow the natural shape of the melody, so the phrase flows more naturally. I also need to do something about the triplets in bars 19 and 20, and again in bars 23 and 24. Let's listen to bars 19 and 20 again. To be honest, they sounded a bit boring. I played the triplets too evenly, almost like a robot talking, instead of shaping them as a musical sentence. So, how might we shape these triplets in bars 19 and 20? There are different ways to shape a phrase, of course, and you can always try out a few ideas to see what feels most natural to you. But this is the approach I like best. Instead of treating them as separate little notes, as I did in my original recording, I like to hear them as one long musical sentence. The only problem is that this sentence is a bit too long to say in one breath, so I will hear it as 3 smaller fragments with a slight breathing space in between each fragment. In the first fragment, I would let the phrase move forward a little at the start and then ease back slightly at the end, both in tempo and in dynamics, just enough to create a small breathing point before moving into the second fragment. But you don't really need to lift your fingers off the keyboard. Let me try it out from the end of bar 18 to the end of the first fragment. I'll do it again. Then, in the second fragment, I will do something similar again, but this time together with the crescendo. And then that leads into the third fragment, where I would return to the original tempo and give a little more weight to the treble A, because by that point we have reached mezzo forte. For bars 23 and 24, I will treat bar 23 much like bar 19, and then really bring out the first triplet of bar 24 so that it feels like the climax. I hope this video has been helpful, and here is the final recording.